Alright, so for today's episode, we have another Yu-Gi-Oh channel here, but he also does Pokemon content. For the Pokemon side, he goes by Ninth Gym. On Yu-Gi-Oh, he is Nostal-Gi-Oh. And um, it's another person I know in real life as well. I need to start branching out to people that I don't know in real life so I can get a bigger connection, but we do what we got to do for right now. So, welcome on Nostalgio slash Ninth Gym.
Hello. You can also call me Zach. It's cross-branded. Easy enough. Nobody really calls me that online and stuff, but whatever. That's overarching.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted me to use your real life name or not. I didn't know if you were privatized that much or not.
Yeah, I don't really care either way. I'm a man of many names. You can call me by any of them.
Fair enough. Um, yeah. So to thank you for being on with me today.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Yep. The first thing here, same thing I did with Zaid and what I will do with anyone else that comes on here. Just go over a little bit of history with yourself within Yu-Gi-Oh and every just whatever you want to talk about with your time with the game so far.
Well, I'm a pretty old head for as far as like OG Yu-Gi-Oh goes. I started playing in like 2005 when I was like 6. My uncle owned a card shop, so it made it pretty easy for me to play the game. And Yu-Gi-Oh is just the one that I started playing because it seemed like the least complicated and stuff like that. I also like collected Pokemon as a kid, but yeah, I had never really played the Pokemon game. It just felt weird. It just felt like a weird game to me. Yu-Gi-Oh just worked. I don't know why. Which is funny because nowadays Yu-Gi-Oh is like by far the most complex of all
For
those
sure.
games.
Yeah, that's not a lie
So
at all. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really weird. It makes me like it's kind of weird because I remember being the little kid at a locals, and nowadays if I saw a little kid at a locals, they would just be turned off from the game immediately, probably. Like they would come with their structure deck or very goofy all common decks from packs and stuff, and then just get absolutely demolished and not even have a chance. I at least like had a chance as a kid. I mean the best cards were like goat format cards, like the scariest thing on the field was Mirror Force and Injection Fairy Lily and stuff. So I didn't have that hard of a time getting into the game as a kid, but nowadays it would probably suck.
Yeah, for sure it would.
But I played for like probably my time zones are a little off. My memory's kind of bad nowadays, but it was like I played from like 2005 to like 2007 or 8 probably. And then I stopped playing because that around that age, a lot of the time you kind of feel like you're too cool for something like that, and I was one of those people. But then I got back into the game from actually Brandon Hagen. He actually introduced me back into the game because he was in my brother's class, and that was around like 2012, like Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy, and like Dragon Rulers and Spellbooks. That's when the game started to become crazy. Honestly,
Yeah.
like that's when the game was wild to me.
Zaid
And
said he
I jumped
came
back
back.
into the game. Um, Wait, what are you saying?
Sorry, yeah, Zaid said he was came back at around the same time. That just seems like such a horrible time to come back.
Yeah, it was not very nice getting back into the game. But it was still really fun in exploring like the options that I had as like a 12-year-old with no dollars in a format where the only decks you should be really playing are $1,000. It was really interesting, navigating that format. My brother took a perfect route. He went Evil Swarm, which was like the only deck that didn't cost $1,000 that you could play. So that was really good. But me and my brother actually split a box of Hidden Arsenal 7 getting into the game, and I sold my PS Vita to buy to buy into that box because that's all the money I had. I was a little kid. Like, what was I gonna do? And yeah, so we split that box, and I was like, I'm gonna build Constellar. You build Evil Swarm, and then I like swamped him because like the only way getting out like outing Ophion is like by removing it with a monster effect. I just made Pleiades. I just bounced it. So he thought his deck was terrible, and I thought my deck was the best in the world. So we went to so like that was my start was with Constellar, and I like played at a couple locals locally, and then I played at two locals, and then I went to Frederick Regional because that's where like Bangi was going in that crew, like the Brandon Hagen crew, like all of them. They went to that regional, so I went with them, and my 12-year-old naive idiot self got my deck stolen. The first regional ever, 1 week into playing. Every dime that I had at the time went into that deck that got stolen.
Oh, that sucks.
And
that sucks.
oh, dude, it sucked. I was about to stop playing 2 weeks in, like I was done. But all my friends, I had good friends, that were like really nice and had stuff. So they helped me pick up a deck, and I made Inzektor, and that was my first actual deck, I guess, because I only had Constellar for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and so yeah, that was cool. Like at least I made Inzektor, had fun with that. But yeah, getting my deck stolen sucked. And you want to hear like the add insult to injury to that?
Whoa.
I pulled a Spellbook of Judgment from entry packs, which was $120 at the time. It was crazy. And I had no idea that it was money. And I was like super excited about it. And my friend Bengi, he was over my shoulder when I pulled that, and he was like, "Yo, okay, if you trade today with that, I'll help you out so you don't get juice." And I was like, "Okay, bet." And then I traded with John Blank, and I got the world. I got everything I wanted. I got a Diamond Dire Wolf. It was like $40 at the time. It only had its one secret print in Cosmo Blazer. I got a Safe Zone that was like $25 that I just gave to my brother. Because I was like, dude, I pulled everything in the world, bro. You can have something. So I picked him up that. All that stuff was in the deck box that got stolen.
Oh.
Everything. Dude, the beginning of that day was like the most joy that I felt in a long time. Like pulling a $120 card from, my $20 entry packs that my parents paid for. And then for it all to be ripped away. I like called my dad and I was like, I want to leave. I like, come pick me up because I don't want to be here anymore. This sucks. This day sucks. And then he was like, yeah, I'll pick you up later. I'm, busy right now. And then, my friends convinced me to just like not just quit the game immediately. They were like, whatever, dude, you spent, $100 on that deck. Like, whatever, if you're going to quit, then quit. But like, if you don't, we'll help you build the deck. And then they helped me build Inzektor, and it was cool. But I mean, that deck was like neutered at the time. We had one Dragonfly, one Hornet,
Yeah,
It was still fun though.
yeah. That at least he's had someone around you for that to help you out. That sounds like a really rough story. Like if you didn't have anyone around you, I could totally like understand if you did not want to do anything past that, because that's a hard experience.
Yeah, I was 100% down to quit. I was like, dude, like I'm not doing this. I'm going home. Like this just sucks. I really didn't want to be there. But then like they convinced me out of it. My binder fortunately didn't get stolen. Like so I still had some things. The only real cards that I had in there, I had a secret Stardust that was like $20 at the time, and an Effect Veiler which was like $10 at the time, and a Thought Ruler Archfiend that was like $10 at the time. So I had like $40 trade. And I sold the Effect Veiler to eat lunch that day. I remember that. I sold that for chicken strips.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
But hey, man, for real, I had no money. My parents gave me $20. They were like, "How much do you need?" And I was like, "Well, entry's $20." I didn't think about the fact that I needed to eat that day. I was kind of just like, dude, I'm gonna play Yu-Gi-Oh and I'm gonna win like $1 billion, and it's gonna be sweet. That's what my 9-year-old brain was thinking. I was like 12, not 9. But yeah, that was like really interesting. But then like I like stuck with it, and then like went to locals and stuff, and then had the 3-4 years that were like some of the most 3-4 years of my life so far. Mostly because of Yu-Gi-Oh, going to regionals, going to locals 2 to 3 times a week with a crew that I really enjoyed. So I'm glad I stuck with it. I'd be a completely different person now, I think, if I didn't stick with it. All my friends would be different. I wouldn't be around the same crew and stuff. So I'm really glad that I did stick with it, didn't just quit. I'm really curious where I would be right now. Like, I have no clue.
Yeah, that's always an interesting thing to think about, not only just with Yu-Gi-Oh, but just like with anything. It's like, yeah, if I made this like one different decision, it's like my entire life basically would change, and that's something
Yeah.
interesting to hear from like a Yu-Gi-Oh perspective as well, because I think a lot of people have sort of like probably not exact the same, but like sort of similar type of situation.
For sure. With like other stuff. I mean, I imagine that comes up a lot. Like, a quick decision, and then they just like stick with that. Like, like a kid pulls up Pokemon for the first time, and then they're interested, instantly interested into it, and that's their life. I mean, that was also kind of me. I've played every Pokemon game ever, and it's my favorite, franchise and stuff. But if I didn't, get Emerald, from my uncle when I was a little kid, maybe I wouldn't be that into it because I played like the other ones beforehand and never really got like super into it because I was like a little kid. I didn't know how to beat the game. Emerald's the first one that I actually like went hard on, and like, yeah, I don't know. Without that game, maybe it'd be different. Maybe I wouldn't have liked Pokemon. Maybe I would have thought it was lame. No clue.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, who
But
knows?
yeah, me and Zayd got back into the game about the same time I did because, me and him met in sixth grade. I got back into the game in sixth grade, and yeah, he like came over to my house one time for like a Halloween party that I canceled, and he didn't have a phone. So like, dude, that's such a goofy story. Like Zayd didn't have a phone, so he like pulled up to my house and then like walked up to the door, and I was just like, "It's canceled. Sorry, bub." And then he just like left. He like called his dad and was like, he just left. And that's like really funny because then like the next like week or two, I like had him over to my house for like not that, and then he like found my Yu-Gi-Oh cards and he was like, "Dude, this is like lame. Yo, is it cool if I like cuss on this? Like, do you care?"
Yeah, I don't care. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, he was like, "Dude, this is really fucking lame. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, that's for kids." And I was like, "No, bro, I'm just selling them." Like, totally in the Yu-Gi-Oh closet. I was like super in the Yu-Gi-Oh closet at that time. Uh, and he was like, "Dude, shut up. You're not selling those. You're playing them." And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm selling them. I swear to you." And he was like, "Let's be fucking lame, dude. Let's be fucking stupid and play this game just for the lulz." And we played it, and he fell in love instantly. He loved the game instantly.
That's so
And then we
that's
just
so
like, and the
funny.
rest was history. Like,
Yeah, like that's so funny
it's hilarious, and
specifically.
it's like,
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
it's just funny that it all stemmed from that. And then like Zay just like went into it as hard as I did. And I made him like a $4 battling boxer deck. And I just gave it to him. And then he played that for like 2 months straight. With like mind drain in the main and what was that one that's Fiendish Chain that just changes it to defense? I forget.
What
Memory loss. It's memory loss. Oh
that's
dude, so
oh
bad.
man.
The deck was like so bad.
That's really funny considering how Zayd is now, because he's just like Yu-Gi-Oh head all the time. That
Dude,
like
right? Like he's literally only thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh at all times in the day.
exactly. It's so crazy. That's just such a funny story to me.
Yeah. It's funny. Me and Zayd, we go back a long time, and Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of like the big stem to it. It's like, I mean, that's what we did, we went to like four locals a week. So we went to Wednesday or Saturday, Thursday, Wednesday, Sunday every week. It was crazy. That was the Yu-Gi-Oh times, bro.
Exactly. So beyond that, what about like more what about more like I guess that is kind of more current, but like what about moving in towards more current stuff, like with your history and stuff?
Uh, yeah. So I guess moving forward in the timeline, I stopped playing around like 2015. That was the last Nats that I went to was Nats 2015, and I went to like a couple regionals and stuff afterwards. But I quit around. Do you remember the Monarch structure deck?
Yeah, I would. That's kind of around the time I started playing, or like started like getting more interested
Gotcha.
in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Um, Well, so the last tournament that I went to before I like quit, for like 5 years, I got back into it 1 or 2 years ago, like 2 years ago with like Orcust, when Orcust got like its actual support, not when it first came out where it was like cheeks.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah. So I stopped playing around then. It's actually really funny. Lyle was a big part of me stopping playing. That's another local area or another local player for anybody that is not a local player. But yeah, so I went to a regional, right? And I forgot I don't remember what I was playing. It was some fair normal deck, but it was right when Chicken Game came out, and I was playing Monarch. That's right. It was me that was playing Monarch, and I was playing that deck. And it was right when Chicken Game came out, and so everybody was on the Chicken Game FTK with the life equalizer and shit like that. And that I played against it 4 rounds in a row, and I lost my last three. And the last game that I lost was because I didn't activate Upstart Goblin because I was not familiar with the deck. If you activate Upstart Goblin, you won. If you didn't activate Upstart Goblin, you lost. And I had it, and I thought it was the other way around, so I didn't activate it, and then I lost the game. And then it was to Lyle in the last round that I played against Lyle. And I was like, I think I'm done playing this game. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, I think I'm done playing this game. And then I went and sold everything. Me and Zaid were like kind of partnered at the time. And I sold a bunch of stuff and gave him a bunch of stuff and then stopped playing for like 4 years.
Gosh.
And that was crazy because, I was one of those every couple weeks, kind of want to stop playing kind of guy for like a year straight. And then that was finally it. That was the nail in the coffin, was just losing to, Chicken Game FTK.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Like I feel like a lot of people that would go up against those kind of decks would kind of would not want, again, like back when you were talking about like losing your stuff. I feel like that's another aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh that would lead people to get to that kind of decision.
Yeah, just not playing and
Yeah.
losing. Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Well,
But yeah,
just
so that was
FTKs.
the last long hiatus. What's up?
I was just saying, just FTKs in general, more so what I was talking about. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, they suck. Yeah, FTKs are not very fun. Like in games at all. Did you see that one that's going around in Master Duel right now? Dude, it sucks. It's that one they play the banish your whole extra deck and then banish your opponent's extra deck for the turn. And then they activate that DD Dynamite card. I was gonna make a video on that the other day, but I forgot. I might do that today.
yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
just
hate that deck. I
yeah,
hate it so much.
I only saw it once.
It needs banned. I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah,
I played against it 3 times in a row the other day.
God, that's a
It was
bitch.
insane. I lost all 3 of those games.
Yeah,
They won the die roll, and then I just lost.
yeah, I went against it when I was playing Prank Kids. I only went against it once, but I was just like, oh, this deck's like doing basically nothing. I thought it was just like a random like person just playing like, oh, I'm playing like cool like banish card deck, and I'm just like, oh well, they'll banish my extra deck for one turn and then I'll just win the game, and then they just do
Right.
exactly what you were talking about. Oh god, it was
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, at first I was like, okay, so you're like scything me this turn. That's cool. That's a cool trap. Uh, and then I didn't get a turn after that. I was like, oh, what? What? I didn't even hear. I've never heard about it before. Like before the other day when I played against it 3 times, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. I never heard about it, and then I just play against it like exclusively, and it was just so weird. But yeah, that deck's good. It also sucks though. I hate it. I don't know what they'll do. I feel like they should just ban that like the dumb card, the Ghost Trick one. I think it's a Ghost Trick card. But the banish extra that card, you know what I'm talking about. The trap.
Yeah, it's
They should
not.
probably just address that.
It's just I think it's just a random trap card. It's just I know it has
Yeah.
it
I don't
has,
remember. It's something dumb.
it has Eater of Millions on it. That's all I remember about it. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you were trying to talk about like more like I guess the like more recent 2 years or something.
Yeah. Back to the timeline. So, after that long, 4-year hiatus, I got back in like 2020. And I got back in. I was playing Orchest, and then I played Sky Striker Orchest, and then I played the Luna Light Orchest, and then I just kind of stopped the game again for like another 6 months or something, and then I picked up Prank, and then as soon as Meow Meow came out, that's the most recent time that I got it back into the game, and yeah, Meow Meow came out, and then I played against Bingy with he was playing the Prank deck, and I was like, what is this deck? I've never seen it before. And then he like showed it to me, and I was like, yo, this is sick. So I built it because it was free 99 at that time. Places were only like $10 still, and I was like, cool. So I bought the entire deck on Yugioh Black Market on Facebook, and I bought the whole deck for like $50. Like 40, $50, something like that. And then I bought an access code, and I had the entire deck, and I was like, this is cool. Access code was like 60, $70 then, maybe a little more, like 80. But yeah, I spent like $100 on the Prank deck, and I was like, this is cool. And then I like destroyed locals for like a month, and that was it. And then I like stopped playing, and I don't really know why. I do that all the time. I just like stop playing. I go through like phases, and then yeah, and then after that it was Bird Up. And now we're into the very, very recent days where then I played Bird Up until that deck was neutered, and now I'm playing a different deck every week because that's what I do.
I mean, that's fair enough. Me personally, I always try to do that because I feel like if you do that, you get more knowledge about not about like different types of decks as well, but also it kind of just like makes it so you just don't get as bored as often. Whereas like if you're just
Yeah, for sure, it helps with that.
yeah.
I don't have a lot of the stuff though to make it like easy. Like I'm mostly a borrow boy, like I just borrowed Sword Soul for like almost a month straight. Shout out Odd Toxin Gaming, that's my boy Sean. He let me borrow that whole deck, so yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was really nice of him.
That's fair enough. I mean, I think we have a pretty good. I don't know about like other areas besides besides the locals that we both go to, but I would say like in general our community is pretty good on just like yeah, you can borrow this card or you can borrow like this set of cards or stuff like that, which I think is
Yeah,
I think that's
for
really
sure.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Dave was trying to Dave was trying to tell me to play the Brave virtual world the other like a couple weeks ago, and he was like, I'm just gonna play Fluanderies, you can borrow the Brave stuff, and I was like, I might take you up on that. So that was cool.
Yeah, something like that's just really good.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very welcoming for the community. I mean, it's a little like less welcoming to new players because like you're not old, but still
Yeah.
it's cool.
You mentioned a couple of decks that you were playing throughout all that time. What would you say? What would you say is your like favorite decks that you played throughout your entire stint of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, BA was a solid Eternal. You can still play that deck. That deck. That deck's still not dead, which is crazy. That was one of my favorite for sure. That one actually I have a funny story around too. So that deck. BA was, very, very slept on at first. Like when DUEA first came out, everybody was like hype on Shadow, right? I was one of those people that were hype on Shadow. I built Shadow day 0 at the pre-release. Built the whole deck. I was a baller when I was like 13 and 14. I was a baller. I don't know why. Like in the Yu-Gi-Oh scene, I had like access to the most cards, like in the local area, and so I built the entire Shadow deck immediately, and I was like, this deck is it, right? This is the best deck, right? And then me and Zayd were testing, and he was like super hype on the BA stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. And then we were playing, and it was like pretty even, but he ended up determining that BA was not the move. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Well, I want to cop that stuff from you. So he got all that stuff. This was like, we were both like kind of balling. Like we could get any cards that we wanted and stuff at the time. So he moved me the BA deck. 2 Dantes. They were like 25 to 30. And then and he moved me Ulti Astro Forces. They were like $3. Maybe $4. Like they were nothing. They were beans. I got like the Mathmans. I got everything, right, for BA. I brought it to the next regional that like weekend. the first weekend where you could use DUEA. And I was like, okay, after all this testing, I was like, Dante's insane, dude. BA is insane. It's like the move. It's so good. It's really resilient. You can play Effect Veiler. We were playing at one point the Effect Veiler BLS stuff, you know? So that was cool. So like just across the board, it was a cool deck. And I was like super hype on it. And I played the regional. I bubbled. I mean, that's the story of my regionals history is I bubble every time, never get an invite, always bubble, lose the last round. So yeah, I bubbled, and then I looked up the deck. I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna sell this deck. This deck was not the move today. And I looked it up, and Dante's were 100s, like a pop. Astral Forces were like 25 for the alties, like a pop. Pleiades were like 30 from the like 10s that they were. It was just like across the board, the deck just exponential. And then I sold it. And then I told Zaid, and he was like so pissed, dude. He was so mad at me. He was like, this sucks. Like ask him. He'll remember this because that was such like it was so ass to him. It was so mean because he was 100% like set on that deck, and then he had a moment of weakness and sold the deck to me, and then 4x, 5x.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Oh god, that sounds very, very frustrating on his end, but
It was pretty bad. That happened multiple times with me and him, actually. I picked up his Yugioh deck as well at one point, and then it, like, skyrocketed in price. Like, I don't know, man. Zaid always had the calls, and then he, like, faltered on the call. Like, he makes the call, he's like, this is it. And then last second, he's like, this is not it. And it turns out it was it. Every time.
Oh man.
So yeah, that was BA. BA was fun. BA was one of my favorite decks. And then we had when Virgil came out, me and Zaid, we bought like 4 boxes because we were like doing a lot of buy lists at the time. So we had like just hella core TCG credit. So we bought like 4 boxes and we just cracked them because we were like, dude, I mean, at the very least, this will be very fun. So we did it, and that was like a lot of money, you know, like at the time, like spending $300 on boxes. It was just like a lot to you know, some kids doing buy lists. It was like a lot of core TCG credit. So we bought them and we pulled 2 Virgils. And this was when me and him were like mixed our collections together and we were like partners, you know, like 2 peas in a pod partners. And we pulled double Virgil. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. Let's play BA. So I you know, put that together and like we played that. And then Virgil's turned out to be like $80, and we were very, very split on selling them because other than that, the only thing we like pulled was like a Baxia that was worth like $20. So we were like, we should probably sell these things. But I was like, dude, I want to play it. So that was BA again. BA is such like a fond memory for me. Like old day BA. It was really good.
It's still good today.
And then opposed to today. Today's still a good deck, you know. I mean, you play it with like the Brave stuff. You can still make Cherubini instantly, get the Brave engine, you know, play like Pile, BA. I think Sam was playing that like last week and he topped with it, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, that's cool. BA is still a cool deck, you know, for sure. Fiendish Rhino can still send Token Collector. That's a cool thing that deck can do today, in today's age. But yeah, that was one of my favorite decks. And then one of the other favorite decks I had was Nekroz. I mean, Nekroz was crazy. Nekroz was just a crazy experience for me and Zaid, because that deck was $1 million, and I was the only person to have it. Well, me and Zaid, we were the only people to have it, but I played it mostly until we sold it. And then we sold it to Dan, and then he let Zaid borrow it for like a month, like months straight, which was crazy because we sold it to him for $700. I remember that. We sold him the whole deck for $700, like the week it came out. That was such an expensive deck, man. It was crazy because we picked up Triple Brio the day it came out, like the pre-release set, and they were 150 a pop. 150 a pop, and we were picking them up. We picked up a whole playset. We made the entire deck. Trish was 40. Valks were like 70. That was the bulk of the expenses, but that's a lot of money. That's like $700 on the core of Nekroz alone. Exactly. So we built the entire deck. I piloted it at a 1K that weekend, and in York, PA. I forget the name of the shop, but it was York. We just called it York. But we went with Jake Caldwell. I remember this was a fun time. He played UA. I remember that. Um, yeah, that was good. My memory for Yu-Gi-Oh is good. Um, but yeah, I played the Necros at that 1K. I was the only person in the room with Necros, and everybody was like, dude, what is this 14-year-old doing? Why is he the only kid with Necros? Does he have rich parents? No. I was just a baller. I traded a whole Satellar Knight deck for one of those Brios. I traded a whole set of Denebs. They were 30 a pop.
You gotta do what you
Whole
gotta
deck.
do.
Whole Satellar Knight deck. Hey, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do. And that guy was happy, too. That guy still plays. What's his name? I don't remember. Seth. Yeah, shout out Seth Lynch. He might watch this one day. Look at me name dropping. But yeah, it was cool. Picked up the whole Necros deck, played it at a 1K, and then I topped the 1K, and then I sold it. That was my entire experience with Necros. We made out like bandits. I remember what we said we spent that day. I don't really want to disclose it, but it was very, very cheap. We did not spend that much money. We traded a lot of stuff, but we made out like bandits with it, and then we sold the deck for $700, and it was insane.
Dang.
After like topping a tournament with it, like a 1K. It felt really good. It was a good week. Like it was a very good week for me for Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I just played BA. I was like, whatever, this is cool. I'll play BA. I'll sell this deck. And then Zayd borrowed it. And then the next weekend, Zayd borrowed it from Dan and top 8'd a regional with the same deck with 2 Brio because Dan sold one. I remember. It was crazy, dude. 2 Brio. He was topping because he was on some shit. He like started I don't think he started. I think he found it from like some regional the day before, but playing the Armageddon Night shit for the send Jin and then use it like banish the Jin for the mirror. Like it was crazy.
He was talking about that.
It was like because we had double Rhoda. Yeah, we had double Rhoda back then. So it was like you go Rhoda, Armageddon Night, or Shrit. Like it was crazy. It was so good. Yeah, I would figure he was talking about it. That was his first top 8, so that's like a big one for Zayd. Yeah, it was just borrowed Necros. It was so good, dude. That was just like a really good like 2 weeks for us. Like that was really nice.
Yeah, that sounds fun. He was talking about that specific regional, in the video I did with him. It honestly sounded pretty cool because he told me he looked up something and then he was like the only person in the room that was like on that type of like tech, and then he just like did well because he had that tech in it.
It was the best list in the room, probably, for real. And it was that was a big regional. That was a Frederick regional, which was like a 500 or 600 plus regional. So it was like that was a big regional then. It was like a 9-round full regional, like it was a big one. And he top 8'd, and it was crazy. And me and him played undefeated round 5. It was nuts. I was playing BA, and I did a very idiot thing. I don't even know. I remember I was like he made Dweller, and I couldn't like out Dweller. And then I had like a brain lapse, and I like booked it during during my turn. I forget what I did. I like booked it thinking I was like gonna be outing him, but I should have booked it on his end phase or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I messed up, and he just chained it, and then I lost because of that. And it was such a stupid little misplay. And I didn't have my invite at the time, and everybody was like mad at Zayd for not giving me the win for my invite. But I was like, bro, take the gold. If you don't top 8, we're going body in the parking lot. But if you do top 8, it's all good. And then he top 8'd, and I was like, okay, let's go. Like I was like really hype on that. Like it was sick. It was a good ass weekend, dude.
Yeah, it's all that sounds extremely crazy, especially around.
Yeah, it was hype.
Because that's
yeah, dude, it was.
I think that time
it was big hype. I was like 14, so like it was crazy.
Yeah, that time is like.
What are you saying though? Around that time?
Yeah, around that time is like a lot of people's like. I don't know. I can't say introduction point, but a lot of people have like a lot of fond memories around that time because of just how crazy and like, fun that format seemed to be. I kind of wish I was part of it, but like
it was really good.
It is what it is. But
I mean, I say it was really good, but there was a lot of Jin locking, so there was a lot of like unfair things about the game for sure. But like that was just part of the format, like it's kind of like how Scythe is now, but like it's a little less stupid because there's like more outs now. But like we were playing like Book of Eclipse and shit. Like weird things to out that card because it was like untargetable, no special summon. So you had to like play Book of Eclipse and Rhoda with Bull Blader. Those were like the main outs. Bull Blader.
Yeah.
Fucking Bull Blader.
Yeah. That's so.
The card does nothing.
Yeah,
It's so
crazy.
goofy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Is there any other like big name decks that you were really fond of throughout everything?
Some more good decks that I played, or like favorite things that I did was the first deck that I like was good with, like that I was actually like respected at locals with was Madolche, because that was right after my Inzektor period. I played Inzektor for like, I don't know, 3-4 months, something like that, for like a good while, right? And I was like, okay, I want to move on from here. And then I topped at Neverland, and I looked in their case, and literally all they had was an MX Saber Invoker that was worth anything. And I got first, I got like $40, and I was like, this is crazy, this is so much money. What should I do with this? And then they convinced me to play Invoker and make Madolche, because another local player had all of Madolche except the Magdalenes, which to give a little bit of background here, Invoker was about $40 then. The barrier to entry for the deck, realistically. Tierra Masus were 10s, Hood Cakes were 10s, and Madolche, the Magdalenes were 30s. So what I did was I copped the entire deck except the Magdalenes. He had one Magdalene. So I got the entire deck with one Magdalene, and then I found on eBay some guy that had two Magdalenes. He was selling them for like 50 for the two or something. It was something like barely off, but I got my parents to buy it for me, telling them, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna pay you back in fucking Neverland store credit, but I'm gonna pay you back. And so yeah, then I made that deck, and then I like thrashed locals for a little while with Madolche OTK with like TG Warwolf and stuff. Fun fact, that's my first deck profile I ever did. I topped at locals, and then me and Zaid, we were at my friend Eric's house, and we were getting them into Yu-Gi-Oh! And then Zaid was like, dude, you should do a deck profile. And I was like, I will. And then I think he made a YouTube for that. And I think that's like the only thing on that YouTube channel. Maybe like a Minecraft video or something, like something dumb and old, you know? But like, yeah, that was another one of my most fond decks, was Madolche. That deck was really fun. It served me really well for a couple weeks. I did a lot of like topping of the tournament. It was really fun. For a little while, they did feature matches at Old Neverland, and I had a couple feature matches, and I remember I like was reminiscing on Yu-Gi-Oh days, like on a year or two ago, and I found that channel and I watched my feature match, and I was like, this was just a different time, dude. It was so fun. I was playing against like Gravekeepers or something with Madolche, and I just like completely waxed him. It was so fun, dude. I just like, I'm sad that Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have the same like appeal to me anymore. Now it feels like more I want to win, or just like, you know, because I have to spend so much money on my decks and stuff that like it feels bad when I don't win. And that's like kind of a downside of the game nowadays to me.
Yeah.
And like honestly, the game itself is a lot less fun. Like there's like the game is so much more about not letting your opponent play than like playing the game, and it's just like not the same to me anymore.
Yeah, I can agree on some aspects of that. I still see like some slight appeal to the fun aspect of it, but I can definitely agree in some regards to that. It's really kind of a give and take card game in comparison, but like well, how would you
Yeah, for sure.
how would you say that is in comparison to like because you play Pokemon too. I don't know how deep into it you are, but like how would you say that is in comparison to like another card game?
Well, I'm a lot less into the Pokemon card game. My other channel is like more dedicated to the VGC, like the video game side.
Okay.
But I do play the card game as well, and I have played the card game on the channel, like it's been featured on there. But it's more so like VGC. But I've been on break from VGC for a little while now. I think this format's trash, and I really dislike it. I'm just waiting for Gen 9. I can't wait for that. At the end of the year, that'll be really fun. But yeah, in comparison to other games, I think you know, other games definitely, like at least as Pokemon TCG as an example, It's still fun. It still has an appeal, but I didn't really play that game much as a kid. I played it a little bit in like that 2014, 2015 era. My friend Dom and Neff, they got me into that game in like the EX era, and it was fun for sure then. But it didn't really change much like to nowadays because I didn't play like locals then. I just like kind of played that game like primarily for fun. So I don't really have the exact same aspect, but or the same outlook. But I know that like nowadays, piggybacking to what you said, there's still like fun aspects and stuff of the game for sure. I still like learning. I still think avidly learning is very fun in the game, like getting better every time. I mean, I can point out my misplays, right after I make a misplay, and that is fun to me. Seeing where I messed up and seeing where I can get better. And winning is still fun, right? So you still have like actively learning and winning. Both those aspects are incredibly fun, and that's the only reason I can still play Yu-Gi-Oh, because like I like learning card games stuff because it makes me feel like I'm like still smart, because like when I was a kid in school, you have a very accurate measurement of like how smart this person really is, just with like grades and stuff. And I didn't get good grades, so it didn't seem like I measured up, to a lot of people. But I think intellectually, I'm a lot. I was on the higher textile tier of those kids in school. And nowadays with Yu-Gi-Oh, actively learning, I feel like I have an accurate measurement of like, my brain still functions. And that's a really cool aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh, is that I can still like learn. It makes me feel like a kid, being able to learn things still. And that's cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a good aspect for me as well. Like I can I would still say even today, like I feel like I'm still growing within the game even more and more, and this just feels like there's so much within the game that you can still learn and grow from, that it just makes it so like that, who knows, that might just be like the big appeal that makes it to where like Yu-Gi-Oh feels like you kind of want to just keep coming back into it, because it's like, oh, I need to get that my brain tingling again, I need to get that like flow going
Yeah.
with like my brain cells and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice being like, in a competitive scene, and Yu-Gi-Oh is a really good scene for sure. There's definitely a lot of toxicity and stuff, but at least, in the majority of like local scenes and stuff that I've been a part of, there's not very many like toxic people or anything. And obviously, if you go to a higher level, you go to like a regional and stuff, it's less of a casual experience, but it's still, fun, it's still something.
Yeah, for sure. Going off on the aspect where you're talking about like understanding your misplays and stuff, what would you say, like, so obviously we've kind of been going over like Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of frustrating in some aspects, but what would you say the best way or the ways that you think are the best, or the ways that you deal with negative aspects of it, or like aspects that are just not as pleasant to it, like maybe like losing, or like a really bad misplay, or stuff surrounding the game like that?
Well, when I misplay really poorly, I beat myself up pretty bad. I've always been pretty bad at that. But I gotta like chill with it. It's pretty easy to chill. But yeah, that's really like the most negative thing for me is when I misplay, when I lose to a misplay. If I lose to a bad hand or something, whatever, that's RNG. It happens to Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a card game. There's RNG. That's like an aspect. I mean, I was playing Virtual World yesterday at locals, and there were multiple games where I literally passed, like multiple games where I literally passed going first. So that's frustrating. But that's something that, like next time, like I didn't get to play with the punk cards today. Those are great starters, you know what I mean? So like there's always that aspect of, when RNG, you can blame it on your own deck building and stuff to an extent. But when I lose to my own misplay, I'm like, wow, that sucks. I should play more. But then when I play more and like test, I just get bored of testing. And it's just like, it's just weird. That's the bad thing for me is like testing and stuff, because I never really feel like testing, because like I was saying earlier, the game's kind of like not that fun to me. Like it's not very fun when I just get scythed and then don't get to play, and like I didn't draw droplets, cool, so I just don't get to play. You know, that's like the thing that sucks for me is like not getting to play. So that's why I misplay all the time. Is because then when I test, I like don't like it, and then I stop testing, and then I never get testing, and then when I actually play in a tournament where I can't just be like, oh, go backsies, then I lose to my own misplays, and then I get frustrated.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that aspect of testing. For me, I don't test as much as I should, or really like almost at all sometimes, because I don't I still enjoy the game. I would say probably a little more than you do currently, but it is very like weird sometimes, just like with the testing, like whether you're doing it online or just like by yourself or with someone else, because it's like you're learning, but in some cases it's just like, okay, you're opening like test hands all the time and you're doing all this repetitive stuff. Like, I don't know, me personally, I don't even know if I could ever be like a extremely competitive player in the game, because oh man, it's like the amount of effort that you have to put into it. Like, I give a whole bunch of credit in that aspect of it, because it's insane.
Yeah, it's really tough at a high aspect or at a high level. Me and my brother were actually talking about this just like the other day, um, where we were saying that we're like on the like a higher rung of players overall because of just like the sheer amount of like casual players and I mean you've played Master Duel and stuff. You go on, you activate a danger and they ash it, and then you activate the same danger and they negate it with Appaloosa, and then you activate the same danger and they negate it with Appaloosa again. You have a lot of people that are just so bad at the game that I feel like I'm a pretty strong player in the game. But then when I go to a high level competitive scene, I'm like on the lower rung of players in that scene. So it's like kind of weird. I find myself in a really ugly middle ground. That like it makes me feel like I need to get better, but then when I play the game, I feel like I don't really care to get better because I don't really enjoy it that much. And then I have times where I do enjoy it a lot. It's just weird. I think another piece of that, like of me not enjoying the game that much right now, is because I don't have access to the entire card pool. Um, and I could do that on DB and stuff, but I just like don't really like the interface like on DB. I'm just like not really a big fan of like doing everything manually on DB. It's fine sometimes. I like doing it for past formats like GOAT and stuff because it's three inputs and a turn. Like you don't do that much, but um, yeah. I mean, I don't have the Brave cards in real life and stuff. Like I would not be playing a virtual world build without the Brave cards and stuff if I had access to everything I wanted. I was playing Sword Soul. That deck's fun, but that deck's kind of like boring to me. Um, and I'd be playing. I'd probably play like based if I had everything. If I could play anything right now, I'd play like based or like the Tenyi, Brave Tenyi deck. Like something like that. And I think that would be more fun than like the decks that I have access to. But like virtual world's fun. It just bricks, and you don't get to have fun some games. And yeah, so I think that definitely impacts like the reason I don't like this game right now that much. And that's like the main reason that I like playing Pokemon VGC so much is because like it's free. I mean, you have to spend time grinding and stuff, but like that's okay. I watch movies. I'm a seasoned player at that, or like a seasoned grinder and stuff in that game. So I can just watch movies and make an entire team and not mess up. That's what I've always done now.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I Dueling Books interface is kind of weird sometimes. It's very stinky, but I definitely think that aspect of not having access to a lot of the card pool, that kind of I remember that time, like that stint in time where I just like had no money. Like I just completely had no access to like anything extreme. I had like like a little bit of like gas money that my grandparents would graciously give me, and then like some money here and there if I ever wanted anything. And like that was about it. Like I was lucky in that department to get money at all, obviously, but like I didn't have anything to like extraneously like spend on Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I remember buying Card of Demise at one point in time, and I was like clamoring for like trying to get a third one, because I think I pulled one, my friend at high school pulled one, and then like I was debating so hard like buying a $20 card online. Like that sounds crazy, but like still, like, $20 to me at the time was just absolutely like bank breaking kind of thing. So it's like you know.
Yeah, I get it.
So like having no access to like not having like a large amount of access to a card pool, like, I definitely think that can change the whole aspect of just even wanting to like enjoy the game, because I feel like that's kind of a big reason I still have at least some decent interest in like understanding a lot more with Yu-Gi-Oh, because it's like I have Fluanderies, I have Virtual World, I also have the Brave Engine myself, luckily, and
Hmm.
like all that stuff. Like I have enough of a card pool to where like I can diversify enough, but like, for other people, like you were saying, it just kind of feels weird to even like, you know want to like put so much into it, but at the same time you feel like
Yeah,
you want to put a lot into it because it's something you have like
right.
at least some fun with. So,
Yeah, I'm like back and forth about it. I mean, I have like I can like I have access to buy any of the things, but I just like don't play the game enough to really justify it. Because if I buy like the Brave engine and stuff, if I don't top, that feels like so wasteful to me. And I mean, currently, in my virtual deck, I'm doing like the scythe stuff, so I have like Hulk and Baron and stuff. Um, and all that. But I just don't really feel like picking up like the Brave engine. It's pretty expensive. I mean, I had half of it. I sold you one of the Aqua enchantresses, but I had the enchantresses. I just didn't have rights, and then they doubled in price. I was like, I'm not gonna buy these rights for 200 or whatever people want for it right now. Like that was when they were 80s. I was like, dude, I'm not gonna do this.
yeah, it's
And I just like I don't play enough. I go to
yeah.
one local a week realistically. Like sometimes I go to two, but like realistically, I go to one, and then sometimes I go to Friday goat locals. But like I have every card known to man and goat in troves. I have 7 full goat decks together with side right now. Um, so yeah, I can go to goat anytime.
Yeah,
And I'm usually the supporter of goat. I have two of my friends go, like some of my friends go sometimes, and I'm just like, what deck do you want to play? You know, I have them all. Same with Edison. I have 10 Edison format decks together. I mean, I built. That's why I built like this channel and stuff. One initially was like past format, so I have like a really insane past format collection,
yeah,
and
I
that's what I
was
like the most about Yu-Gi-Oh is past formats. So like I have a lot of fun formats, fun times with that. But that's like what I built the collection. Like it's funny because like people were like, I have an insane collection. I have like a crazy big collection of just like old formats and cool stuff that I have, and it just sucks that like old formats don't get as much love as I give them. But it's still really cool. It's getting a lot more now with Time Wizard format and stuff. Goat locals every now and again, and soon enough it'll expand to more formats.
that's the one thing, like, I'm actually kind of glad we like diverged onto that, because that's the one thing that I really just wish like Konami would have, because I honestly think that would help. I don't know if you would agree in this one aspect of it, but I feel like that would actually help make Yu-Gi-Oh not only more popular but also like more like enjoyable for a lot of people, because it's not, because like for me the thing, like I don't like personally like agree with how Magic's like game system is set up, like the actual like way the game plays out, but I do agree with the way that they have it set up to where you can have multiple formats, where it's like, okay, you don't like commander, you can play standard, you don't like standard, you can play whatever else there is in the game, like something like that.
They have like a million formats.
Yeah, and like even besides that, like obviously not all of them are supported like to a higher tier level, but there's still there's multiple formats that are like higher tier like represented. And like even if that's not exactly like what Konami would do with Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, like I think even if it's like a big push, like even if it's just for GOAT format, like I don't like GOAT format as much as I do other old formats, but like even if it's just that, like that would still be better, because now you have regular Yu-Gi-Oh and you have an older version of Yu-Gi-Oh that people at least like somewhat enjoy. and then like you can expand from there. I would personally think Edison format would be a good format to like start everything with if they ever did like do a big boon for everything. But even then, like
Yeah,
whatever it is,
I'm a very big Edison stan. But yeah, I agree entirely. I think more formats, definitely, you'll only see good results from adding more formats. You're not going to have, I mean, you might have a couple people jump ship from current format into old format, but that's fine. They're still playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So like, that's cool. I think past formats are really cool. I got really big into past formats like 2 years ago. That's when I started building, all my formats and stuff. I started off with just one Edison deck, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do with one Edison deck? So then I made another one, and then I was like, oh, I want some different Edison decks, and I got 10. Um, and that's just like how those old formats and just alternate formats in general grow. I mean, we've seen it now with Duel Links. Duel Links did pretty well. Duel Links has kind of fallen off recently because of Master Duel, but I think it'll pick back up some steam because they're different games. Master Duel is very similar to real Yu-Gi-Oh, but with Max C and not the entire card pool. We don't have DPE, we don't have Brave, Baron, but still, it's not Duel Links. Duel Links is a very small game. Small isn't really the right word because it's not like slow or anything anymore. It's very high power level. I mean, we have like Invoked and it's like demolished on the ban list. Like Thunder Dragons is like good. We have Levianeer. Like there's the Harpy deck. PK just came into the deck. I think that's like the best deck in the game right now. I haven't played Duel Links in some months, but since Master Duel really. But I've always been a pretty avid Master Duel or Duel Links player, and now we're seeing it with Speed Duels again. Speed Duels coming back with a new box, at the end of the month and stuff. So I think they're definitely expanding a bit on, other formats. And we have, they made that announcement last year or whatever about like the common charity format as well with all commons and stuff. So there's definitely, some alternate formats and stuff. And you can, take matters into your own hands as players for formats as well. I have a very lucrative cube that I've cultivated over the course of 2 years now, and like there are other players that do that. AC's cube is insane. It's so much fun. It costs like $10,000 and, it's really cool. And that's like completely different formats that players create and cultivate. I mean, my cube is all attributes and types, so every monster is fire, earth, wind, dark, light, every one of them. So like you can go activate Rhoda, search a non-warrior level 4 or lower, Like it's just really cool. And I think that's like a really interesting thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! And just card games in general is how they evolve and how they can evolve without, the overlooking eyes of Konami and stuff, just to be able to have fun with the cards alone. And that's been fun. My brother made a GX cube where he created his own skills, like Duel Links and Speed Duel skills. So, like, it's just really cool that, even without Konami supporting formats, I made all these past formats before they made Time Wizard format, Like, we are taking it into our own hands, but they're also doing pretty well in supporting it now, I think. And I think it's kind of crazy that they waited until now to bring out Time Wizard format. Like, I think that would have been a really good side event at, like, YCSs and stuff, like GOAT format, YCS side event and stuff. I would do that. I lose in the main event. Okay, I'm playing GOAT. Like, that would be really fun.
yeah, that to me, all that would very much like help the game in a lot of different aspects. It wouldn't necessarily fix everything we have currently. I think there's a lot of underlying aspects with Yu-Gi-Oh that just kind of keeps it to where it's fun, but it's also just kind of sometimes. But like the biggest thing I think for me is just having like something where everyone just has enough of a enjoyment to where like they just don't want to like off themselves every time they play it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've hated on some current Yu-Gi-Oh a bit in this, but I still love it. I'm still playing it. I'm about to take like a little break because of the regionals coming up. A lot of people locally. I mean, I'm sure you're planning on going to regionals and stuff, and I usually do. But like my health has been kind of poor recently, so I don't really feel like getting sick or taking that chance. So I'm probably gonna hiatus for a little bit from Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's not because I don't like it. I still think the format's fun, even though the format is like, I mean, let's be real, it's pretty AIDS sometimes. Like, it's pretty stupid. There's a lot of the time where you just go, scythe and you don't have anything, or there's like a lot of things, a lot of examples of it, but it's still fun. I still do it to other people. I'm playing a scythe deck. Like, I scythe people as well. Um, so yeah, it's its own thing. It's a very give and take. It's a very love hate relationship with Yu-Gi-Oh.
For sure. Um, but yeah, I think we're getting close here to an hour. So, last little thing here would be, well, if say you have a new player or like a group of people that would want to be getting into the game, what would you say is like the biggest like advice that you can give to them towards, I guess, well, with Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, obviously, but just probably like card games in general. What would you like give advice towards in that aspect?
I'm pretty bad at this myself, but I would definitely say, losing a lot is good because you learn the most when you lose. If you win, you don't do anything differently later. But if you lose, you do something differently later, and that's really the best aspect. That I preach that on my Pokemon channel as well. That losing is good, because like there's a lot of people that there's a lot of content creators that are afraid to put up them losing, because it takes away a bit of their credibility. But I think that of course it's good to win, of course it's good to learn, like to be good and win events and stuff, but if you lose you get like a lot more experience. You will do something better or different later, and you can learn on your mistakes. So really that's the biggest thing, is losing is good at the beginning. I mean, obviously you don't want to go to a YCS and lose and be like, yay, I learned. But locally and playing with your friends, testing and stuff, like, every time you lose is good. And I'm really bad at that. I get angry when I lose, but you know, do what I say and not as I do.
Yeah, that's always good advice to go off of. Not only just in Yu-Gi-Oh, do as I say, not as I do. but
Yeah, exactly.
but is there anything you want to shout out or uh, give credit or I guess just shout out. I was gonna say give credit to, but I don't think there's really anything to give credit to.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess shout out Zaid. Zaid Slater, that's my boy. I talked about him like 3 times in the podcast, but he was a big piece of my Yu-Gi-Oh journey, especially in the last time before the newest time. Although to be honest, he's a big part of it now. But yeah, that's my boy. Also, Odd Toxin for letting me borrow that deck. He also let me borrow PK like 2 formats ago. So that's my boy. And then my 2 channels, Ninth Gym and Nostal-Gi-Oh, all that kind of stuff. I got a TCG player affiliate link too, so anybody buys IRL cards, do that up.
Yep, I will leave the channel links in the description of the video, and be sure to check him out if you all are coming here just randomly, and if you all are coming here from either of his channels. Be sure, if you enjoyed this video and any of the other videos, to consider doing all the good old typical YouTube shenanigans. And anything else you want to say?
Yeah,
Anything else you want to say before we get out of
I
here?
guess that's it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything?
I don't know.
All right. Well, thank you
Well,
for.
thanks for having me on the podcast, homie.
Yep. Thank you for joining me with it, and hope you and everyone else has a good day.